upbeat, intriguing music. Intro fades slightly into the background. Picture this: Anzio, Italy, 1944. The Allied forces are bogged down, pinned by a relentless hail of German machine gun fire. For weeks, every push forward is met with a devastating response. The situation seems hopeless. But in the midst of this stalemate, one American soldier, a private named Audie Murphy, is about to do something so audacious, so completely unauthorized that it will change the course of this battle and cement his name in the annals of military history. This isn't just a story of bravery, it's a story of how one man's defiant ingenuity accomplished what an entire platoon could not. Slight pause, music shifts to a more narrative tone to truly understand the genius of what Audie Murphy did. You have to understand the nightmare that was the Anzio beachhead. After landing in January 1944, the Allies expected a swift advance toward Rome. Instead, they found themselves trapped in a deadly pocket, surrounded by heavily fortified German positions. The landscape was deceptively open fields, canals, and farmhouses that offered little cover. Dominating this terrain was the German MG-42, nicknamed Hitler's buzzsaw for its terrifying rate of fire. These machine gun nests were expertly concealed, creating overlapping fields of fire that could shred anything that moved. Allied casualties were mounting at an alarming rate, and morale was plummeting. The command structure was paralyzed, trying to figure out a way to break the deadlock without sacrificing even more lives in futile frontal assaults. Every plan seemed to end with the same grim calculation on acceptable losses. Into this meat grinder steps Private Audie Murphy. At this point, he was not yet the most decorated soldier of World War II. He was a small, baby-faced Texan, barely 19 years old, often underestimated by his peers and superiors. But beneath that quiet exterior was a razor-sharp mind and an instinct for survival honed by a tough upbringing. Murphy was a hunter, and he saw this battlefield not just as a chaos of explosions and death, but as a complex environment with patterns, weaknesses, and opportunities. He had witnessed firsthand the futility of charging these machine gun nests. He knew that brute force wasn't the answer. He needed a different angle, a different approach entirely. His unit was pinned down near a sprawling, abandoned winery. This wasn't just any building. It was a large stone structure with a commanding view of the German lines. From its upper floors, one could potentially see the exact locations of the machine gun nests that were tormenting them. The problem: the winery itself was a death trap. It was zeroed in by German artillery and mortar. Anyone trying to use it as an observation post would be blown to bits in minutes. The Germans knew its value and watched it like hawks, making it even more inaccessible. The internal staircases had been destroyed, leaving no easy way to get to the higher levels. It was a fortress, but one that was locked from the inside out. While his superiors were busy debating tactics and calling for artillery that never seemed to hit the right spot, Murphy was studying the winery. He noticed something others had missed: a thick rope, part of some old pulley system, dangling from one of the highest windows down the side of the building. It was an incredibly exposed position. Climbing that rope would be like performing a trapeze act in the middle of a firing range. It was a suicide mission, plain and simple. That's why no one had even considered it. It wasn't just risky, it was insane. Any order to do so would have been seen as a death sentence, and that's the key. There was no order. Murphy didn't ask for permission. He knew that if he did, the answer would be a resounding no. His sergeant, his lieutenant, anyone with authority would have forbidden it. It was an unauthorized operation from the very beginning. So, under the cover of the noise of a nearby firefight, Murphy made his move. With his rifle slung over his back, he sprinted to the base of the winery wall. Hand over hand, he began to climb the rope. Every muscle strained, his boots scrabbling for a foothold on the stone wall. He was completely exposed. A single German sniper, a random mortar shell, or just a tired grip could have ended his story right there. Miraculously, he reached the window and pulled himself inside. He found himself in a dusty, debris-strewn room. Cautiously, he moved to a vantage point, a shattered window that gave him a perfect, unobstructed view of the German positions. And there they were. Not just one or two, but a whole network of them. He could see the crews, the ammunition boxes, the patterns of their fire. He counted them: 17 active machine gun emplacements, all working in concert to create that impenetrable wall of lead. From the ground, they were invisible monsters. From up here, they were just men, vulnerable and exposed. Now, any other soldier might have radioed in the coordinates, but Murphy knew that was a gamble. Radio chatter could be intercepted. Artillery could be inaccurate. He had a direct line of sight, and he had his rifle. He was a superb marksman. So, he decided to take matters into his own hands. Bracing his rifle on the windowsill, he took a deep breath and began to do what he did best. He wasn't just shooting. He was orchestrating. He targeted the gunners first. One by one, the relentless chatter of an MG-42 would suddenly go silent. The German soldiers, confused, would send another man to take over the gun, and Murphy would take him out too. He was patient, precise, and methodical. Down on the ground, the American soldiers were bewildered. The terrifying rhythm of the German machine guns was being disrupted. One by one, the guns were falling silent. It was as if they were simply vanishing. The pressure began to lift. No one knew why. They just knew that the storm of bullets that had kept their heads buried in the dirt was finally subsiding. They couldn't see Murphy, they couldn't hear his shots over the din of the battle. All they knew was that a miracle was happening. For over an hour, Audie Murphy single-handedly waged his private war from that winery window. He systematically dismantled the entire German machine gun network, 17 gun crews, silenced the unauthorized rope climb. The act of defiance that should have gotten him killed had completely broken the German line. He had single-handedly achieved what artillery barrages and platoon-sized assaults had failed to do for weeks. When he finally climbed back down that rope, covered in dust and gunpowder residue, the battle had fundamentally changed. The immediate aftermath was almost comical. When his sergeant realized what he had done, he was torn between wanting to court-martial him for disobeying the unwritten rule of not getting yourself killed foolishly, and recommending him for a medal. The sheer effectiveness of his action was undeniable. The path to advance was now open. Murphy's unauthorized initiative didn't just save lives in that moment, it broke the psychological stalemate and allowed the Allied forces to finally gain momentum. This one act of incredible bravery and tactical brilliance became a cornerstone of his legend. It was a perfect example of the Audie Murphy doctrine. When the rules don't work and the plan has failed, sometimes you need one person with enough courage and ingenuity to see a different way. He saw a rope, and where others saw a death trap, he saw an opportunity, and in doing so he made 17 machine gun nests, and all the men manning them simply vanish. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this piece of incredible history, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next story. We love bringing these moments of unbelievable courage to life. Let us know in the comments what other historical events you'd like to see covered. Until next time, stay curious.